Well, it's holding up well for the markets, 18,700 on the cards for the Nifty. But the buzzword in the market at this point of time is AI and artificial intelligence. So let's try and understand what the impact on businesses and industries is going to be like. We have with us Mr. Rajan Sethuraman, the CEO at LatentView Analytics, joining us on the show. Hi, thank you so much for making time and speaking with us. I wanted to begin by asking you, Rajan, about the interest that we are seeing when it comes to artificial intelligence as an industry. Of course, we've been hearing that there's been increased inquiries coming in from clients with respect to AI outsourcing. Could you talk to us about what you are hearing on the ground and what's LatentView plan?
Yeah, sure. Firstly, thanks and congratulations on your 14-year anniversary. Absolutely, there is a lot of increase in the momentum and the volume of conversations. Of course, organizations are still figuring out in terms of how they make use of some of the new technologies that are emerging, especially given that many of them are in the open source space. So, for example, with ChatGPT and generative AI, questions are revolving around: can we create our internal versions of these technologies so that we can, for example, better analyze the data that we already have with us? Could be structured, unstructured data, a lot of text data that organizations currently have coming in from their multiple systems of record and transaction processing system. So generally, there is an increase in the interest levels in terms of how these technologies can be leveraged. But initial attempts and initial set of ideas seem to be focused on just better understanding data that they already have using the power of these technologies.
So, Rajan, when do you expect the actual order inflows to start coming in? Because these are just initial level talks, and any more details in terms of what could be the color and nature of these deal flows?
Yeah, so we have started seeing examples already where organizations are taking outside help to help them, even if it is with just analyzing data that they already have. As with any outsourcing idea, typically you look at can you do it faster? Can you do it at a lower cost? Can we get the right kind of experts involved in the program? So those are the things that are driving the interest and the deal flow. I think it will pick up in the next 1 to 2 quarters. Organizations will be able to better crystallize what they want to do. So while initial ideas will be around data analysis, there'll be many more opportunities for them, right, in terms of how they can look at understanding customers better, for example, looking at inventory cost reduction, for example. So all these things can be impacted using the generative AI. So expecting that in a quarter to 2, we will start seeing more concrete deals with larger initiatives as
well. How many companies do you think can genuinely transition into the AI space? Today everybody is claiming that, okay, it's this honeypot which we want to go after. But do you think Indian companies, in a sense, may really not have the real transition per se, and we may just be on the sidelines?
Not really. I mean, if you look at the maturity levels of organizations, right, whether they are in India, the US, or the Europe, I don't see a whole lot of difference. There might be some sensitivity around usage of data. I mean, in Europe, for example, you have challenges around GDPR, right, and data confidentiality, and one wants to be absolutely certain, right, in terms of how people are leveraging data. But otherwise, general interest and maturity levels, I don't see a whole lot of difference between different geographies. What matters though is the maturity level of the organization itself, in terms of are they already making use of data for driving understanding what has happened better, what we call look back analytics, diagnostic and descriptive. You need to cross that bridge first, right, and then look at how can you make use of data for predictive, prescriptive purposes, understanding what is going to happen and what should you do about it. The newer technologies tend to play more on the predictive, prescriptive side, but that doesn't mean that you cannot kick off smaller initiatives to better understand those ideas. So on that front, I wouldn't differentiate too much, right, with respect to Indian organizations.
How much of the current Indian IT service will actually get cannibalized because of AI?
That's a $1 million question. I think my own personal philosophy and take on that is that it's not about the current nature of work and how it will be done. It will be more about what the new technologies can make possible. So today, most organizations, while they have massive systems in place, most of them serve as systems of record. and decision making still happens outside of that. So whether it is somebody in the marketing function or the supply chain function, when they need to make a decision, they pull data from these systems, work with Excel, other spreadsheets, and back of the envelope calculations, and that's how they make their decisions. I think with these newer technologies, some of that stuff will start getting simplified. But it only means that it opens up a lot more nuanced understanding of the data. And in some sense, most organizations are still at very early stage when it comes to using the full power of the data that is available. So while I believe that the Gen AI and related technologies will automate a lot of things that are happening today, it is going to create so much more possibilities in terms of what more can be done in terms of the quality of decision making. So personally, I believe that it will open up more opportunities for organizations, and I wouldn't be worried too much about the cannibalization at this time.
Morning. Can you tell us a little bit more about some of the clients that you work with, Adobe, Uber, etc., and how they are leveraging the use of AI?
Yeah, so for organizations like Adobe and Uber, AI has always been a fairly important and integral part of how they go to market. With Adobe, for example, we have been helping them with the transition that they have made from a license model to an as-a-service model. So today, all of Adobe's software is consumed and sold as a service, which means that every interaction that they have with their customer is digitally intermediated. So today, when a customer makes use of any of their software, they know when they are using it, what they are using it for, what features and functionality are very important. So, for example, we have helped identify newer customer segments that they can target. One very prominent example was young and expectant mothers who are very active in using Adobe Photoshop, for example, right? Before 6 months before the baby is born, about 18 months after the baby is born, because they want to make use of Photoshop before they post photos on social media, right, of themselves and of their baby. So what features and functionality would they be interested in, and how can you analyze that better so that the right kind of features can be built and marketed, and sure, it can be educated to them as well. So that this is an example of how you can make use of information that's valid.
Sure, those are some of the examples, and there are going to be a lot more use cases. But Rajan, before I let you go, I just wanted to talk about your margin trajectory, because for the business, it's come down from 30% all the way down to 21%. When do you see a bit of recovery in your margin profile?
So we are doubling down on investing in multiple areas, and while the current economic uncertainty is still unfolding, and we expect that will be the case for the next couple of quarters, we are not slackening on the investments that we need to make on the front end or on the capability building, or even in terms of assets and accelerators. So I expect that the margins will be subdued for the next couple of quarters as well. We should start seeing an upward trajectory on that from the second half of this year.
Thank you for taking time out and joining in and talking a little bit more with clarity about the disruption within AI and how companies really are leveraging this newest technology. Okay, right back to the market.